Welcome to our Thursday meditation. I'm Peter Weng. I'm the CEO of Healthy Minds Innovations, and we have been doing these daily meditations on weekdays during this period where we're all forced to work remotely and do social distancing or limit our amount of social contact depending on your circumstances. And we wanted to continue on the theme this week of connection. We have been exploring different themes through our joint meditations together. And as this week we're looking at connection, I wanted us today to spend a little bit of time thinking about conflict. I know, again, different people's circumstances are very different at this time. Some folks are working actually extraordinarily hard. I have several friends who their work has unfortunately in the healthcare industry caused them to be healthcare fields caused them to be very busy and sometimes in very challenging and dangerous circumstances. I've obviously, and I think everyone is the same, have other friends who are furloughed or out of work right now. So there's a wide disparity of experiences that we're all having going through this. Similarly, living situations. I'm actually just been absolutely alone. I just moved to a new house and in a relatively new city, and social isolation has been a very interesting experience. I think there are some who are in tight quarters with many people and kind of locked together, and so that's also been an interesting experience. So interacting with everybody on a virtual level has its own challenges. Interacting with the same people in very close quarters all the time has alternate challenges. And so I wanted to consider today looking at kind of conflict and kindness and thinking about those two aspects of kind of how we interact with each other. I thought I would ask a question, and feel free to use the chat box for this, is kind of, has conflict in your interactions with others, has it increased or decreased or stayed roughly the same? And just get a feeling for what that's looked like for you. And it's nice to see the messages coming in, and it looks like we have people from all over the world, from Europe and South America, as well as the US, and different places in the US. And nice to see you all. And again, on the chat, we were just querying about conflict and how has conflict manifested itself in terms of frequency or intensity. Has it increased or decreased or seemed consistent or the same for you from the previous period to the recent period? And I think one of the things that we are looking at as we look through the different kind of components of well-being that we consider. So the four components that we care about or we believe are very fundamental and measurable and actionable components of well-being are awareness, connection, insight, and purpose. We believe that we can build skills and allow ourselves to develop, and actually it's more than just a belief. Actually, we've seen this, and it's been shown demonstrably from our research that it is possible to develop well-being. And again, today we're looking at connection and getting a bit of feedback on the chat before we start, and letting everybody just log in. And with that, I see it's great to see friends coming in from all over. Also from Asia. It's great to see everybody and see some I see some old friends on there as well. So welcome. Great to see you. So what we'd like to do today is a short practice I'd like us to, again, consider conflict and kindness as the two things for us to think about. So why don't we get started in our practice? I'd like you to see if you can find a way to sit that allows you to be alert but relaxed. So sitting upright in your chair, if you're in a chair, is the best rather than leaning back or leaning forward too much. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. If you'd prefer to keep your eyes open, I'd suggest averting your gaze down in a soft gaze. And let's settle into this position and just take several deep breaths. Now resuming normal breathing, I'd like you to just settle into this and just notice anything you might be feeling. Notice any sensations in your body that you might be feeling. So you can notice state of mind. Is your mind full of chatter or seems calm, or you can notice any thoughts. And if you can notice any feelings, emotions. Now I'd like you to consider someone in your life who's important to you in some way, who you may have had conflict with recently. And I'd like you to think about this conflict. I suggest that you select one that was a mild to medium level conflict. On a scale of 1 to 10, maybe up to a 6 or a 7. I would not suggest a very heavy 9 or a 10 level conflict. I'd like you to consider the nature of the conflict. Maybe consider how you view this conflict. Now I'd like you to consider how the other person views this conflict. What is their perspective on the nature of the conflict? And what would they attribute to be the primary cause of the conflict? I'd like you to consider, is there any basis for their point of view? I'd like you to notice any emotions you may be having around this. Just notice any emotions that are present for you right now. Now I'd like us to move on and let go of that situation. So let's reset and let go of that situation from the mind. Let's take several deep breaths again to reset. So several deep breaths. Resuming normal breathing. If you are still, and notice how your body feels. If you can still feel residual from the last reflection, you can also look to just tense your muscles, tense the muscles in your body, and then let them relax. And let's take several more deep breaths. Resuming normal breathing. I'd like you to consider someone who's important to you in some way that you would like to do something kind for. So it could be the same person, it could be a different person. So it could be the same person as the last example or a different one, and someone who you'd like to do something for them that would really make their day. And if they're in person, if you're living with them or interacting with them during this time period, you could think about something you could do in person, or if it's someone who is remote from you, maybe consider, is there some gesture of kindness that you can do for them even while you're far apart? So think about, what would it be that you could do that would really bring joy or allow this person to feel really positive, some act of kindness. and ask you to consider, how will this person feel receiving this act of kindness? And please notice any emotions that you may have on this right now. How do you feel as you think about this? Notice what emotions are present for you right now. And I'd like you to consider, for this act of kindness, when can you do this act this week? When this week will it be best for you to be able to take this action? Now I just ask you to take a moment to just notice your entire body, what's happening in the body, how your body feels. You can notice thoughts or emotions present. With that, I'd like to close this meditation practice. You can open your eyes if you had them closed, and we'll bring our attention back to our joint call. Thank you for joining in that practice together. And I thought we'd go back to the chat. And if you would like to share, I'd like to ask you to consider sharing either what is the act of kindness that you were going to do, or if you prefer to share when you're going to do it this week, then to share when. As you can share both if you want, but I'd suggest, what act of kindness or when will you be doing it. It would be nice just to, I think, share with others for giving ideas to others, as well as writing it down on your group chat. Will give some accountability. We'll give accountability to ourselves by putting it down in writing. And I think one of the things that is really interesting, we were talking about earlier how we believe these 4 components of well-being are critical, and we know that they are trainable and we can develop them, and so we can treat well-being as a skill that we can develop rather than as kind of a inadvertent outcome. It's something that we can absolutely train and cultivate. And connection with others is something obviously we can do, and we can cultivate our connection when we're present with them. But with practices like we just did, we can cultivate our connection even when we're not there. We can consider the way that we look at things. So we did actually a bit of a joint insight and connection practice. We were, when we were looking at conflict, we were doing a connection practice. It was also a bit of an insight practice to consider, what is the rationale, what is the narrative that we take on conflict, and trying to explore, are there alternative narratives? How do other people look at things when we're in conflict with people? Can we see their point of view? And what does that mean for us when we can see their point of view? And then from a kindness perspective, we can think about offering kindness, again, in person, but also virtually. And we can consider how we can do something for folks. And we can also pay attention to our feelings and our emotions with respect to other people, even when we're remote, and thinking about our relationship and how does that impact us, and how our actions impact them. So those are some of the ways that we like to explore these. And I'm seeing some of the messages come through, but offering to do yard work for a friend's elderly mother. Letting someone know that they're going to give their partner more space. Call an interview, or call with the mother and help her tune the computer. Back massage. These are great acts of kindness, and it's really heartwarming to see this. And a lot of these are great ideas. So thank you for sharing these, and having a talk with the child or son. So this is great, and so thank you for the inspiration in terms of acts of kindness that we can do, and thinking about, again, how we can cultivate kindness while we're in person or remotely. I see another one coming through, making food for parents. And it's nice to see parents and children and grandparents, different ways that we can express what we care about from them. And flowers and a sweet treat, that sounds great. So please, take these practices and use them as is helpful. We are doing these practices every weekday, and if you are looking for our information, I think you can find it either our website, Healthy Minds Innovations. We have a website. We also have this YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it. We have another practice coming up tomorrow. Cortland Dahl, our Chief Contemplative Officer, is leading a practice tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central. And it's been a real pleasure to get to join all of you today. And it's really nice. It's great to see some old friends that I haven't seen who are quite far away now. So it's great to be connected to you. And I want to wish you a good rest of your week. And we will stay connected via this channel or other ways. There's many ways to connect with us. All right. Thank you very much.